One of the things that I've done for 20, 30 years now is a little thing called divert daily, withdraw weekly, abandon annually.
Say that a couple times.
You need to remember that. Divert daily, withdraw weekly, abandon annually. Rome was not built in a day, and a healthy church is never built in a day. You cannot build a healthy church fast. You can get a crowd fast, but a crowd is not a church. A crowd can be turned into a church if you have a process, but a crowd is not a church. I'm not interested in crowds. I can teach you how to get a crowd, but a crowd is not a church. I'm interested in disciples. In the last 4 years, here's another number. Saddleback has sent over 8,000 of my members to the mission field to 68 countries. Where do you get that kind of discipleship where people will leave their jobs and go to a country? 8,000 of your members go to 68 countries. You don't do that by being a happy church, by being a shallow church. You have to talk about the cost of discipleship. But first you withdraw, divert daily. Divert daily means you need to know what re-energizes you. It may be banging on the piano. It may be hitting some balls in a racquetball court. It may be, when I was growing up, my little kids, I would wrestle with my kids. That's the way I diverted daily. I'd come home and I'd get on the ground and I'd wrestle with my kids, and we used to play WWF wrestling. They were the powerful PKs, and I was the pastor of the universe. And they would tag team wrestle, and if I pinned both of my boys at the same time, then they had to quote a memory verse, and if they pinned me, they got to take an offering. And I would pay them out quite frequently. So you divert daily. And by the way, here's what you do. If you work with your hands like you're a carpenter, you need to relax with your mind. You probably need to read. But if you're like me and you're in ministry, you work with your mind all day, you need to relax with your hands. You need to do something manual. I actually grow a garden. I grow about 50 different kinds of vegetables, a dozen kinds of tomatoes.
Do you count everything?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Jalapeno peppers, cayenne peppers, serrano peppers. I got all these different peppers. You see, I don't just believe in hell, I eat it. And so we got all these peppers. Anyway, but working in the grounds is something that really just, it's like I can forget all the problems. I used to have a milk can, a tall milk can from a dairy that had sat in front of my house for years. And when I would come home at night, before I would walk into the door to see my wife and my children, I would stop at that can. I called it my worry can. I say, okay, Lord, I'm dumping every worry in that can. I am not taking it into my family. Then you withdraw weekly. Now, friends, let me just be real honest with you as a senior citizen pastor to most of you, as a sage, or parsley, for that matter. If you're not taking a day off every week, you're breaking the 10 Commandments. Because God says every 7 days you take a day off. Now let me just get in your face about this, because I care about you. I'm a fourth-generation pastor. My father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather came to Christ under Charles Spurgeon, was sent to America as a church planter. And so I love pastors. My brother-in-law is a pastor. My father was a pastor. My father-in-law is a pastor. My uncle's a pastor. And so I care about pastors. I'm here because I turned down some other things to be here, because nothing matters to me more than pastors. If you're not taking a day off, you're breaking the 10 Commandments. And taking a day off is so important. God put it right up there with don't commit adultery and don't murder. Now, don't call it your day off. Call it your Sabbath. Because if it's your day off, you'll cheat on it. A Sabbath, when you break it, you're sinning. And a Sabbath is not a day where you do your honey-do list and try to catch up on everything else you haven't done. Okay? You don't turn on the email. You are dead to the world. You say, I cannot not be in contact with my members. Oh, yes, you can. I have 100,000 of them, and I don't have to be in contact with them all the time. And neither do you. And every day, see, nobody started smaller than we did. I started with my wife. Okay? So I don't care what size your church is, I understand that size.
What's your day? Which day?
My day is Monday. And what I do is I get up on Monday. Kay, they ask Kay, do you wake up grouchy? She says, no, I usually let him sleep. And so I get up and
they didn't even get that over there on the
they
left
didn't get
side.
that.
No.
And so I kind of enter the day slowly on Monday, and then at noon, Kay and I go out to lunch. We spend the afternoon together, and then every day, without fail, for 30 years, I'm more consistent to this than I am to my quiet time. We have family night every Monday night. And every Monday night, and there are 5 in my family, 2 adults and 3 kids, and so we took turns in who gets to choose what we do. So sometimes it's Matthew's night, sometimes it's Josh's night, sometimes it's Amy, and the only rule is whoever's night it is, they get to choose what we do, and nobody else can complain because they're going to get a night too. So sometimes it was as simple as, tonight we're going to go to Best Buy and play the free video games. And that's what we all did happily. And then another night, okay, we're all going to go to Barnes & Noble and everybody gets to pick a free book. And so we do that. But you withdraw weekly, you divert daily, and then you abandon annually. And that's when you go away and you don't take your laptop with you or your cell phone. Because now it's all on.
You probably need to say that again.
Or your cell phone. Okay, and you abandon annually. The world can get along without you. And part of life is understanding that you don't want people to be dependent upon you. Andy, you and I, we've talked about this before. When I wrote Purpose-Driven Life, I took 7 months off, and I did not preach or hold a staff meeting for 7 months. The only 2 services I did was Christmas and Easter, and I did nothing else. And the 7 months I was gone, the church grew by 800 people. I thought I should stay away more often. Because we're purpose-driven, not personality-driven. So you got to first know that rhythm. Second thing, forget time management. Instead, do energy management. Energy management is much more important than time management. Why? Everybody has the same amount of time, but we all don't have the same amount of energy. And so some of us are turtles and some of us are racehorses, and turtles typically marry racehorses and vice versa. And on your staff, you've got everybody. And you have to be sensitive to the drain demands that life is ebbs and flows. And if you